Naam, kutoka kwenye bustani ya Uhuru Gardens kule jijini Nairobi, Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto amekamilisha hotuba yake kama rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, akiongoza hafla ya mashujaa kwenye uga huo ama kwenye bustani hiyo ya Uhuru Gardens. Na hii ndio hafla ya kwanza ya mashujaa ambayo Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto ameongoza akiwa rais.
Let me state at this very early opportunity that all of us, elected, nominated, and appointed, are today the privileged, because the people of Kenya have bestowed on us the challenge of leading our country into the new horizon. Let me also say that those we have been elected on both sides of the divide, together we must shepherd this country into a safe and prosperous future. I want to state that I will work with all the leaders who have been elected in all formations for the good and for the prosperity of our country. I am tremendously privileged to join you and our visitors today as we commemorate the 59th anniversary of Mashujaa Day. It is with great humility that I preside over this year's celebration for the first time as president, and I am humbled and grateful for the honor to be.
Na halipokuwa akiingia hapo awali kwenye uga huo ama kwenye bustani hiyo ya Uhuru Gardens, Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua ambaye ni naibu rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, tuliona kwamba akisema kazi sasa imeanza na hakuna maneno ambayo yatakuwa yakisemwa huku na kule, kwamba ni wakati wa kazi na serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ni lazima ipewe nafasi ya kufanya kazi.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, Dr. William Ruto, Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Mama Rachel Ruto, the Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court, Lady Justice Martha Koome, Speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate, the Governor of the Nairobi City County, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioners and members of the Diplomatic Corps, elected leaders, distinguished and invited guests, dear Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen. Kenya hoye! I'm delighted to join all today in marking this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations at this historic Uhuru Gardens. Your Excellency, allow me first to congratulate you on your election as the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya on 9th August 2022. This being your first national celebrations of Mashujaa Day to officiate since assumption of the executive office of the President of the Republic of Kenya. It is a momentous occasion for the people of Kenya and in the history of our beloved republic. Mr. President, I also wish to congratulate all the elected leaders in the just concluded elections and remind them that it is time to deliver. We cannot afford to waste a single minute. We know Kenyans are suffering, and no more talk. It is now time to work. Your Excellency, allow me to most sincerely thank the people of Kenya for exercising their constitutional right to vote, but more importantly, upholding peace before, during, and after the elections. Kenya is a mature democracy, and indeed our great nation is back as an island of peace. Irrespective of our political differences, it is time to work and deliver. We are all Kenyans. This is our nation, and we are rising together. This is the freedom our forefathers fought for. This is the freedom Kenyans voted for. No more room for pain and suffering. Indeed, Mr. President, the real freedom is here with us today. Mr. President, this day reminds us all of history, our struggle and the blood shed by Kenyans. It shows us the beauty of purpose, the beauty of unity and purposeful living. Our forefathers and heroic Kenyans, who we celebrate today from all phases of our liberation and struggle, gave us a nation we are proud of. This is our country. We are one people. We have a duty to make this nation greater than we can imagine in all spheres of our lives. Mr. President, your government, the Kenya Kwanza government, has a plan to make Kenya a great nation, as envisaged in our manifesto, where everyone matters and every hustle matters. I want to assure you, Mr. President, of my commitment as your deputy, round the clock, to assist you in delivering to the people of the Republic of Kenya. Your Excellency, the challenges that we face as a nation, ranging from social to economic, belong to all of us. I call upon all Kenyans to each make a contribution every day in a simple or a small way. It matters. As they say in Kiswahili, umoja ni nguvu. Your Excellency, without further ado, it is now my humble duty to welcome you to address the people of Kenya. And let me ask all of you to be outstanding. And ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of Kenya.
Na baadhi ya mambo yaliyozungumziwa na rais kwenye hotuba yake, ametaja kwenye hotuba yake ambayo amekipa kipaumbele ni mambo ya kilimo, mahali ambapo mheshimiwa rais amesema kwamba serikali imetoa chakula katika maeneo yaliyoathiriwa kabisa, na pia vile vile mheshimiwa rais ameongeza kwamba watashirikiana na watashikana na watafiti mbegu, kuimarisha mbegu ambayo itatolewa kwa wale ambao ni wakulima, na wakulima watapata nafasi sawa ama watapata mbegu sawa ya kupanda ili kuinua uchumi wa taifa la Kenya. Na pia vile vile mheshimiwa rais amezungumzia juu ya ongezeko la bei ya mbolea ambayo ilichangiwa pakubwa na uviko wa 19 almaarufu COVID-19. Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto ameongeza kwamba ongezeko kwa bei la mbolea hiyo hivi karibuni kupitia serikali yake itarudishwa nyuma, na kila mkulima atapata nafasi ya kupata mbolea ili kupanda mbegu ambayo itaendeleza uchumi wa taifa la Kenya mbele. Na pia vile vile mheshimiwa rais amezungumzia unyunyiziaji maji shamba ambayo utaimarisha uchumi kupitia kwa kilimo.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to lay the foundation for our future. Agriculture, as the lead sector to the economic transformation of our country, is the place to start, owing to its potential for high and quick returns on investment. But the situation in the country is wanting, and we have a severe food shortage as a result of prolonged drought in Kenya and the larger Horn of Africa region, the worst in nearly half a century, with 3 years of consecutive failed rain. Coupled with this are the extremely high global fertilizer prices. Our government's initial intervention to mitigate these challenges has been to step up food supply in northern Kenya and other regions and ensure better coordination between government and development partners. And I want to thank my deputy for being an able connector between these partners. We thank our partners for their input that has gone a long way in relieving this dire situation. World fertilizer prices have more than doubled in the past 2 years since COVID-19. The prices were passed on to farmers and the cost skyrocketed to more than 7,000 for a 50-kilogram bag. This had a huge impact on productivity of farmers last year. For example, maize production suffered a deficit of 10 million bags. Our government's first intervention to address the fertilizer challenge and make it available to counties and regions that plant in the short rains was to import 1.5 million 50-kilogram bags and distribute them at a lower price of Kenya shillings 3,500 per 50-kilogram bag. We have also made arrangements to make another 6 million bags of various types of fertilizer available for the long rain season. We have also asked county governments to work with us on the last mile delivery to centers close to farmers so that fertilizer can be easily accessible. These, however, are short-term measures, and we have to take very bold steps to end the perpetual cycle of hunger and dependency on rain-fed agriculture. We must eradicate hunger in our country in the shortest time possible. To do this, we have the following plan. We have to increase agricultural productivity as a first step. We will support all farmers to access quality inputs such as seeds, fertilizer, and pesticides, among others, and also ensure that our farmers have access to extension services in order to improve farming skills. In the short term, we will continue with the fertilizer import program. But in the medium term, the government plans to have fertilizer manufactured in partnership with EAC countries in our region. On seeds, our government will work with local research institutions and both public and private sectors to scale up seed multiplication for all crops. However, irrigation is the ultimate solution in guaranteeing food security in our country. In 2017, the government set out to build 57 dams to harness water for irrigation and domestic use. Many did not even start. Few are complete, while the rest are ongoing. The huge capital outlay required for dam construction in the context of competing budgetary priorities poses a huge challenge to this program. And to address this challenge, we are working on innovative investment mechanisms through public-private partnership to construct at least 100 dams. Consequently, it would be possible to progressively irrigate the 3 million acres already identified as irrigable land. In the next 3 years, the government plans to double the land under irrigation to 1.4 million acres. Of this, 200,000 acres will be under rice irrigation and 500,000 under other food crops. Rice production in Bunyala, the Tana Delta, Rahole in Garissa, Mwea and Ahero will take priority as these are areas that have already mechanisms for us to upscale. Our dairy farmers struggle with the high cost of feed and challenges of storage, preservation of milk, and access to markets. To assure them that they are on our priority list, we have taken immediate steps to reinstate the stalled milk coolers program, and the distribution of 650 milk coolers will resume shortly. In our plan, we have identified dairy and livestock economy as subsectors with the quickest economic turnaround time, and we will become key drivers, and they will become key drivers in improving food security, creating jobs, and boosting our exports.
Na tukiongezea kwa hayo, Mheshimiwa Rais pia amezungumzia katika mabadiliko ya hali ya hewa, mahali ambapo amesema kwamba kupitia kwa mabadiliko ya hali ya hewa maeneo yaliyoathirika kutokana na mabadiliko ya hali ya hewa yanajulikana kila uchao kama vile kaskazini mashariki mwa taifa la Kenya, pia vile watapata msaada kutoka kwa serikali ya Rais William Samoei Ruto. Hebu tupate alivyoongea kwenye uga ama kwenye bustani ya Uhuru Gardens hivi leo.
Sustainable development. As we do that, ladies and gentlemen, we are equally concerned about climate change and its impact on Kenya generally and our arid and semi-arid regions in particular. We will address the effects of this phenomenon as its ravaging effects at home and abroad. Our pastoralist communities have experienced scarcity of pasture due to prolonged drought, the worst in 40 years, and 3 years of absolute rain failure. As a result, we have lost 2.5 million heads of livestock owing to this very severe drought. Rising food prices have made an already bad situation worse. Elsewhere, communities in rural and urban areas across the country are equally struggling under the weight of high food prices and shortage of water. Without a doubt, climate change is complicating our roadmap towards socio-economic transformation and achievement of sustainable development goals. As we seek short-term measures to respond to the evolving situation, I have directed that a long-term and sustainable solution to the planetary challenges be put in place. The ultimate solution includes greening our country to more than 30% of tree cover by 2032. The central role forests play in addressing the effects of climate change has become more prominent now than ever, thanks to their unparalleled capacity to absorb, store carbon, and regulate climate. Of the 59.2 million hectares land in Kenya, only 5.2 hectares are under forest cover. The remaining 54 million hectares are largely in arid and semi-arid areas. The 10 counties with the highest forest cover are Nyeri, Lamu, Vihiga, Kirinyaga, Elgeyo Marakwet, Meru, Embu, Murang'a, Kilifi, and Nyandarua. On the reverse, the 10 counties with the lowest tree cover are Marsabit, Mandera, Wajir, Isiolo, Siaya, Migori, Busia, Machakos, Taita Taveta, and Uasin Gishu. I call upon the Council of Governors to facilitate more discussion to achieve parity in tree cover by using peer-to-peer learning and exchange of information. The government will champion the transformation of forestry and rangeland restoration to support the greening of Kenya so as to combat climate change. We are at the final stages of designing a special presidential forestry and rangeland restoration program. This effort is spearheaded by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, various experts and partners in government, UN organizations, NGOs, and the academia. The objective is to grow 5 billion trees in the next 5 years and an additional 10 billion trees by 2032. This will eventually lead to the rehabilitation and restoration of 10 million hectares in our 290 constituencies, as well as some specially selected ecosystems and water towers threatened by degradation and destruction. To achieve this ambitious plan, the government will continue to support efforts by the Kenya Forestry Research Institute, KEFRI, in high-quality seed production in their 18 seed centers across the country. Agroforestry and farming of avocados, mangoes, and macadamia will also open new value chains for our export market, creating green jobs in those sectors. I therefore urge all Kenyans to support this government's call to grow at least 15 billion trees in 10 years. To achieve this target, simple calculation shows that every Kenyan needs to grow at least 300 trees. The 50 million of us, we will be able to grow 15 billion trees. And I will tell the ministry concerned, the Ministry of Environment, to issue a small certificate for every Kenyan who completes his round of 300 trees. Restoration in the presidential program will be undertaken by youth and women groups, civil society, communities, and religious organizations, leveraging on private sector and government financing. To ensure sustainable funding, Kenya is developing policies and strategies to tap into the global carbon market opportunities accessed through carbon trading. Additionally, the government will secure and protect public forests, rehabilitate and restore all degraded water towers and other forest ecosystems across the country. We will work towards fencing all fragile water towers and other ecosystems to protect them from encroachment. To resolve the capacity constraints at the Kenya Forest Service, I have directed the immediate recruitment of an additional 2,700 forest rangers and 600 forest officers to augment our interventions in this sector. Shortly, I will also be inaugurating the Climate Change Council that will steer Kenya's climate action through stakeholder engagement coordinated in the presidency as required by the Climate Change Act of 2016. Under the program, we will start mobilizing finance from public and private, including multilateral sources, to fund the proposed activities. This is anchored on the United Nations goals and backed by the Tree Growing and Sustainable Forest Finance Management Program, supported by UN and other international institutions. The program also responds to Kenya's commitment to help reduce global greenhouse gas emissions articulated in various multilateral environmental agreements and the United Nations Decade of Action on Ecosystem Restoration. Kenya will rally the globe towards more ambitious climate change action in next month's 27th UN Climate Change Conference at Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. In an increasingly interconnected world, ladies and gentlemen, our well-being depends on engagements with our neighbors, continental fraternity, and international partnerships. In all these areas, Kenya has continued to be a dependable ally, faithful friend, and effective partner, ever committed to a win-win.
Hii bila shaka ni runinga uipendayo ya KDR, ikiwa tunapeperusha matangazo yetu ya moja kwa moja kutoka hapa nchini na kule ughaibuni. Jina langu ni Omari Musa. Happy Mashujaa Day.